Greetings, magic folk. I have an awesome trick to show you today. Now, this trick can actually be performed entirely by the spectator. In fact, it's better if you do. It actually is more impressive that way. So, all you have to do is instruct the spectator on what to do. So the first thing I'll ask them to do is give the deck a shuffle. So, they'll do so. And now I'll ask them to pick any card they want out of the deck. So let's say they pick this one right here. Now it is the 10 of Hearts. And now I'll ask them to make 3 even piles with the rest of these cards. So I'll just have them make the 3 piles, and I'll ask them to make sure that they're what the spectator considers even. So I think this is about even. And now I'll ask a spectator to put their chosen card onto any one of these piles. Now let's say they pick this one here, so I'll have them put it on there. Now I'll ask them to square that pile up and flip it over. And then they can put the face up pile onto either of these face down piles. So let's say they put it on here, and then I'll say, can you complete the sandwich, so to speak? So they'll do that. Now I'll ask them to take half the cards off the top of the deck and put it here. So they take about half the cards, and now I want you to give these two halves a riffle shuffle. So they do, and now they're shuffling face up cards into face down cards. And now, just for added safety, just to make sure there's no way I can find their card, I'll ask them to take half the cards and put them to the side, and then to complete the cut. And then I'll ask them to keep doing that as many times as they feel comfortable to make sure that I don't know what their card is. So they'll keep doing it. So give it a cut, give it another cut, give it a third cut, and let's say they stop there. Then finally I'll ask them to flip this deck over and spread the cards out. So they flip it over, spread the cards out, and then I say, now you can take a step back and I will determine which card is the one you chose. So I'm going through this. I think this one is the chosen card. And then I'll ask a spectator, what card did you pick? And then they'll say 10 of Hearts, and then here it is. So here is the secret. Now, as I said in the performance, it's best if you have the spectator do the performance. That way it's all the more impressive. So the first thing I'll say to them is that in this trick, you're going to do all the work while I get all the credit. Pretty much the way it is in real life, isn't it? So I'll say, can you shuffle the deck any way you want? So they'll take the deck and give it a shuffle. And then I'll say, can you pick any card you want out of the deck? So they'll take one of them. In this case, it's the 9 of Spades. And then I'll ask them to make 3 even piles. So they make the 3 piles. And I'll ask them to make sure that they're as even as possible. So that's about it. And then I'll say, can you put your chosen card on top of any one of these piles? And so let's say they'll pick this one. I'll say, now can you square that pile up and flip it over? And then you put it onto either of these 2 piles. So let's say they put it here, and then I'll say, can you complete the sandwich? So they do so. So now, of course, the chosen card, or 9 of Spades, is right before the bottom section of face down cards. So now I'll say, can you cut the deck in half? So this is about half. And now can you riffle shuffle those 2 halves? So now they're shuffling the face up cards into the face down cards. Now, one thing to note is that the chosen card, the 9 of Spades in this case, comes right before, after you riffle shuffle, it comes right before the largest section of face down cards, and that's basically how you find it later. So right before the largest section of face down cards, and so cards go together, and then say to the spectator, now, just to make sure that there's no way I could see what your card was, I'm going to ask you to cut the deck in half. So they do so, and then complete the cut. And I want you to keep making that kind of cut until you're confident that there's no way I can tell where your card is. So they'll just cut a few times. As you can see, I'm not really changing the overall order of the cards. The chosen card will still be in its position as long as the cuts keep happening like that. Then finally I'll say, can you flip the deck over and then spread them out? So they flip it, spread it, and then I'll just say, now you can just step back and let me do the rest. Now remember how the chosen card was face up right above the largest section of face down cards? Well, now that I flipped the deck over, it's the other way around. You have here the largest section of face up cards, and then now the chosen card will be right underneath it, the first card underneath, and now it's face down. So I'll say to the spectator, okay, now which card did you pick? And then they'll say the 9 of spades, and I show them, here it is. Now this is a unique scenario I ran into when I was practicing the trick, and that is where the largest section of face-up cards happens to be on the bottom, and so the chosen card cannot be underneath. Now if that happens, you just need to think of the pile of cards as a cycle, where card starts here, goes down, and then it and then beyond the 5 of hearts, the next card is the 8 of spades. So you need to basically, these two are pretty much connected, so what you do is that if you find the largest section of face-up cards is on the bottom, it continues right back from the top, and so the end of that section ends here with the 10 of clubs, in which case the chosen card is right below that. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and don't forget there's a lot more tutorials on my channel, so please check those out. And if you haven't, feel free to subscribe. I'll see you again.